Good evening. I just wanted to share a quick thought on the third discussion with Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson and Douglas Murray when they're continuing on in their discussion. And I think the thing I wanted to kind of point out the most that's a little bit alarming to me is the ongoing nature in which Sam Harris, I'm convinced now, just seems to think so negatively and talks so derisively of people who believe in religion. He doesn't ever really get specific that I've seen, other than to give his extreme examples and of obviously atrocious types of things. Mostly, he did talk about stem cell research and whatnot the one time with Christians, which I've already commented on in another video, where I think that is no longer a valid point to hold at this point in time since things have kind of mellowed out. I really don't, I have not seen Sam's honest critique of justification for the way in which he allows himself to talk about people of faith and religion. I do think this is problematic for a civilized society that loves freedom and wants to ensure the best quality of life for everybody. I think that speaking like this has many possible repercussions, and I guess my biggest concern is why has he allowed himself to think that it's okay to do this? And obviously, and as we see, you'll see people in the comments and stuff talking about things in similar ways. You don't see people in the public really speaking like this about others, although maybe a little bit more now and then. But I just wanted to encourage people to not follow that very negative behavior. It is not good for us. It shows a lack of character, I really believe. If he could give a good reason why he just thinks so badly of people of religion, such a huge portion of the earth's population, he might have some rationale, and really all I've seen is what turns out to be bad rationale. So that equals no good reason. It doesn't fit the bill. And so he's just opting to do this. So what Sam Harris does when he does this, is for all of the worldviews and religions, not even of religious, but all the views in the world, religious or non-religious, including all of the religious, all of the rest that don't engage in that type of immoral thinking of others, he elevates all of those automatically above his own religion. So as a moral philosopher, it surprises me that he would engage in such manner of speaking, talking about them as if they're children, but children that have been alive, for instance, for 5 to 6 decades. He speaks of that in the, you can hear about more of that in its context in the third discussion in Dublin with Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson. Look it up and you'll see some other things in there too. I mean, just it just flows off, it just flows out of him. He doesn't even try to pretend he doesn't think so negatively. So I see it as a concern. I see it as something that needs to be corrected. I believe it would be much more responsible of him to not act in that way, and so to encourage people to act better. Instead, he's allowing himself to be elevated as a negative role model, and people are falling in line. And I think so that, to some degree, each of them bears their own responsibility, but he has a greater responsibility because of his platform. And in essence, for somebody who doesn't maybe like the ideas of religion so much, isn't it interesting how he said other than building churches, he can't really think of anything that has much of a redeeming quality about Christianity. I think that was the religion he chose to kind of pick on the most in that discussion so far. And then at the point where they were supposed to do question and answers, they gave the crowd again another option to forego the question and answer section to hear them keep on talking. And the funny thing about that is, it turns out so far in all three of them, there has been no time for questions and answers, because they kind of encouraged the crowd to make a quick vote. And yes, the crowd voted just to have them keep on talking. But what that also means is that nobody gets to specifically stand up and say, like what I'm saying right now, no one gets to say, hey, why are you doing that? Like, if I could be there, I would love to ask him that. What gives you the right to talk so so badly about people? So anyway, he gets what comes with that. And that is, I don't know how many people are honest with him, but it's not justified. He doesn't get to do that morally. It's almost as if he's, and I kind of feel like he's not even trying to hide it too much. He would really like people to be less religious. He would like this to be something that is outgrown, to people to think better, that there's no good excuse anymore. I just can't believe that, because honestly, at a time when some people think so badly of religion, I wonder if he's aware that there's a lot of people that also get it on the receiving end in terms of being the people that do have faith. They have challenged their own thoughts and beliefs. I'm in this category, for instance. Say I take everything he says seriously. I think, I don't want to, believe something for bad reasons. And so I figure out and I test my faith the hardest, or my beliefs the hardest. And I think Sam should do the same for him, for himself. We all should do this. And the funny thing is, more than ever, I feel like the way that I believe about the universe and everything within it makes more sense than it ever has. I feel less doubt than ever. And when I see people like Sam speaking like this of others, I'm even more sure than ever. Like, it's strange, because Sam's own view as a moral philosopher, I would think he wouldn't be like this, but he is. And so his view does not make sense of his own behavior. But you know what? My view, being a Christian, does make sense of Sam's behavior. What is taught and believed in my view of religion is supported by Sam's negative behavior. Isn't that ironic? And I think that's one of the things that we all just need to keep in mind, that the nature of truth and what's real and what's moral has got to line up with what actually is. It doesn't really need to match up with what people who have the biggest platforms or power or money, and I'm not saying that Sam fits all those things by any means. I'm just saying you never know what the future holds. And truth, actual truth, what actually is, the reality of things, is only one thing, really. And you can discover that or not. We all can. And I'm not saying I have the absolute truth, but I do think that I do, just like how Sam thinks that he does. And I think that we all do, no matter what you think or believe, even if you don't really believe anything. That's a choice you've made because you've thought that's the best thing to do. Anyway, without going into tons of tangents, I just wanted to share my discouragement with observing a fellow human being who has such a platform, who could be such a force for good, using that platform to put down millions and billions of people that do not fit the real negative description of what he's saying, other than that they just get lumped into it. And it's not helpful. He wants them to think more like him. And I don't see how that's any different than any leader, preacher, priest, cult leader, any writer of any book trying to convince people of what to think and believe. He's just basically shown he is literally no different than any of them. And he doesn't realize he's encouraging people to believe and think a certain way, or suggest that it's better, and not realizing that that's exactly how beliefs or religions in part have come to be, yet he criticizes it while actually doing an observably negative, borderline immoral behavior by talking so negatively without sufficient reason. So I reject that. I reject it. I think it would be better for Sam personally to not engage in such behavior, because it's not helping him get closer to what the truth is. It's not helping him even, or his followers, or people that agree with him, to get closer to a more moral code or compass, or however you want to describe that. Anyway, I would just encourage us, each as humans, to do better. We do all agree. I will end on this. I don't think any of us would disagree, except the people that engage in the biggest awfulness of humanity, that whether they believe in a religion or don't believe in a religion, we see people engaging in some atrocious things. We do agree that that's evil. What we don't agree on is what it is due to. You don't get to blame the heretics of a religion. You don't get to blame the religion for that, when the religion teaches them to do opposite of the very negative behavior. Now, if there is a religion that teaches someone to do something of a very negative behavior, then chuck that religion. Don't chuck them all, because I think that's going to cause problems in our society. And the fallout is all yet to be seen, but he can't claim that he didn't have a part. No matter what happens in the future, this is definitely going to be part of that narrative. The beginnings of the breaking down of something, here we are in the thick of it, and you've got some fallout. I just think it's a very risky, negative, awful, not peaceful, not a helpful behavior in a time when he should know better, and we all do know better, and yet he feels somehow like it's okay. I just wanted to share that with you, because I hope that you would share my concern in that and not engage in that behavior. If for no other reason, say you think you totally agree with Sam Harris, I would just challenge you that there's people that think he's absolutely wrong. I don't think he probably really surrounds himself with people that are this honest with him. And his actions do need to be defended, but I think they're indefensible. And so when he laments, he's talked about feeling like he can't be really free to talk how he wants. That's because he's talking so badly about he needs to just stop it. He needs to just leave people alone and do a more of a live and let live way of being. If he could do that, then he would be off to a much better start. But until then, his is lacking. His view, we can know this for sure. It obviously is a false idea that all religions are horrible. It is obviously 100% true, though, that he is engaging in something that's not a good thing. And so it gives a bad name to what he believes. He is making that look like it embraces that sort of behavior. So I'm just wanting to lay that out there. I feel like I'm being 100% fair. I feel like he is being totally not fair. So, while this is unpleasant and unfortunate, and I can't believe I'm having to even say it, there it is. It's a cause and effect thing, and I want to encourage better for the future, for our communities and societies, and for people that coming into the world that are young, they're innocent, they don't have any part of this yet. God help us if we continue on down this path and not learn from history. Okay, so I'll leave it there. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.